Guys, things are about to get a little prickly around here. Guys, let's get around to taking a look at the full review of the Kansept Prickle. And before you even ask, is it good? Well, I bought one. So that should tell you something right there. All right, guys, let's go ahead and take a quick look at this knife in full depth. We're going to look at some spec sheets off to the right. We're going to look at how I carried it, how I used it, and we're going to talk about some good things and some bad things and why I went with a different version. So, all right, hang on a second and let's tear into it. All right, guys, this is the Kansept Prickle, and I did really kind of fall in love with this knife, even though this version of it is not the version I purchased. This thing is an awesome little knife. It's not typically a knife I would get, but this one just doesn't bother me as a front flipper only. I actually kind of dig it. So off here to the right is a spec sheet. This spec sheet is not going to necessarily be the exact one for this because it's kind of hard to find this all copper version. So this one is done in copper and S35VN with a black washed blade, copper scales on top of steel liners. Now, the one that I purchased specifically for one reason is the blacked version with the bronze liners and bronze pivot. Now, a couple reasons. This is a very striking version. I like the black checkered G10 with the bronze, but also weight. This is ridiculously heavy. We're going to get the scale out here in just a minute. We're going to get some scale. We'll look at some, We'll get some weight and some behind the edge thickness. We'll talk about the knife and stuff like that. So let me go ahead and get those calipers out so we can look at the blade stock thickness and behind the edge thickness real quick. Let's go ahead and look behind the edge thickness and blade stock thickness. Now, this is a fairly thick knife. I'm going to say it's 0.120 on blade stock thickness. Behind the edge, they did a pretty decent job on this, getting this fairly thin behind the edge. Even though it's thick blade stock, you're looking at 0.023 right behind the edge on this. Now, it's still not going to be a great cutter, because even though it's nice and thin behind the edge, I did a short about this, it doesn't have a lot of distance to transition. So you're going from that 0.02-ish up to 0.12 rather rapidly. So that means that this grind transitions pretty quickly. You can see it's fairly wedge shaped, but they did do a good job getting that behind the edge thickness at the edge to where it cut. And I did cut with this and it cut really well. I just received this one today and I haven't cut with it. But I'm going to assume that it's going to cut the same. It came with a really good factory edge. So you will run into, like, if this is a knife you're wanting to think is going to be super slicey, it's not going to be, but it is nice and piercing because they transitioned it well. So let's go ahead and get this stuff out of the way and we will look at the weight. Guys, I hate to interrupt the video because I know we're having fun, but I do have to do the YouTuber thing and remind you that this channel is self-sponsored with all the affiliate links and stuff you see down below. Anything from knives, tools, EDC gear, and Blade HQ, anything, all the Amazon links, they all support the channel. It doesn't cost you anything at checkout. So I'll talk about that at the end of the video. Now let's go back to the knives. Ooh. Extra prickly. Let's go ahead and get some weight on these. And I got these. I wanted to show you the comparison. Well, this is still not super light. This is nuts. So let's go ahead and in ounces first. You're looking at 5.5 ounces on this little guy. Now, this is not a big knife. You saw the specs. Well, let's go ahead and do that again. Let's see. 5.5 ounces. I don't know why it's reading incorrectly. So this little guy here is 3.25 ounces. So you can see massive difference in weight. And this is still not super light. In grams, for those of you who don't use freedom units, you'd look at 158 grams on the copper versus 93 grams for the G10. So yeah, as you can see, it's not light. And that's the main problem I have with this one. This is a great knife. It feels good in hand and everything. Just it's a little heavy. So let's get this stuff out of the way and actually get into the good points about the knife. So this was a fun knife to have around. I like this style knife. This is a front flipper that does not bother me, and it's a front flipper only. A lot of people were like, oh, it's too bad that the fuller is enclosed down in, just like it is on this one. It would have been cool if you could have done the flip with, you know, the reverse flip. I'd say yes, but the fact is, one of the cool things about this is how clean these lines are on this knife. I like this one not just because it's lighter. I like this because that is a good color combination on this knife. So I did carry this a good bit, as you would judge, because we did the first impressions not long ago, and now we're around to doing the full review. Action on this was great from the factory. Action is great. You've got jimping running all the way down the blade. You can get up on it. The action on it is super good, even as a front flipper. In hand, it feels really good. This one is even better. You have a little bit, that action on this, I think the action on this one's better. You have really good grip. It's not skimping at all, even though it is pretty smooth, even on the copper version, sliding back in your hand. It does not feel like it's going to come out of your hand. It does not have any point at which it feels like it's, you know, where you're losing stability. And for a relatively thick blade, they, like I said, they did a really good job transitioning that grind down. I cut up a bunch of cardboard with this. It would not be a knife that I would say like this Ferrum Forge Aloris that you guys are going to get to see first day in pockets on soon, because I am carrying this right now. This is super, super slicey, and it's going to do well with just about anything. This would have a tendency to bind up in a little bit thicker material. This one has had a stone wash. Obviously, they did a really good job on the finish on this one. This one is just a PVD coated. You can see it's not near as, what do you want to call it? It's not near as polished on this one. So, you know, I don't know how that's going to affect friction. I'm going to give it a shot because this is mine. This is my personal one. But yeah, like I have a problem with front flippers. This one, there's not really much change in the way I'm going to hold this, even if I flip it with front flipper. So not a big issue. If you need something that has a very good piercing tip, I would say that this would fall into one of those tactical folding knife categories that a lot of people like to throw stuff into. It is a very piercing point. It's very effective in piercing and cutting into things. If that's just what you're looking for, something to let the air out of things or people, this might be a knife that's up your alley. The balance on it, on the brass one, is very rear. It's very heavy in the back. On this one, it's a little bit more balanced towards the front. There is a little bit of weight reduction in the liners on this knife. So downsides, I'm not a super big fan of the pocket clip. It's not bad, but on this thin of a knife, you can definitely feel it's right there because I mean, it is the most prominent feature of that knife. The access to the liner is great, but like I said, pocket clip in and out of pocket is great. So there's not a lot of downsides on this knife. The only one I would say, like I said, weight and just a little bit. I think they could have went with a little bit thinner blade stock and accentuated that as a better cutter. But it's still pretty good for day-to-day small duty cutting tasks. I do like the Maker's logo. Max actually commented on my first video about this knife, and I knew when I started carrying it, I did first day in pockets on this knife, it was not going to be very long before I was coming around to the full review. And then after carrying it for a while, I was like, you know what? This is a fun knife. I took some money out of the stuff that comes in from the paying members, and I used this to purchase this knife. Now, this knife may wind up going as a giveaway if the newness and funness of it wears off, but I don't think it will. The jimping, I wanted to mention the jimping on this. This is another knife like that Ferrum Forge Aloris when I mentioned that, how aggressive and grippy that jimping is. It's the same on this, just smaller. Nice, small, square, flat surfaces that they did a little bit of chamfering on the sides, but they didn't round those over. So that jimping is solid. You're up on there. Lock up on this, just about, let's see, what's it on this one versus that one? Just about the same, right at about 25%-ish on lockup. Not early, not late, really stable. This knife feels really stable and solid. There's no blade play. The action on it's really good. I have not taken this apart, cleaned it up or anything yet. The only downside about this knife is it looks kind of aggressive. It really does. It might not be one of those ones you pull out in public to show around to people and things like that if you're in an area where that might be a little nervous. I love the look of this knife. It reminds me very much of a Japanese style dagger. And it kind of cuts the same. It kind of has that same cut to it with some of the daggers, like the clutch daggers and things like that, like the women's daggers. I have one here and I still haven't done a video about that thing, but has that same kind of profile. It's thick and then it comes down to a really thin edge, but it's still really robust. You would have a very hard time breaking this knife, like chipping this knife. So, and like I said, this one is really attractive with the bronze pivot. And I kind of wish they had done it this way as well, but you know, done these the same color, but you can kind of see like it just gives you that pop and you only see it from one spot in one direction, in any direction. So kind of digging that. I mean, it's really attractive. The only thing I can honestly say I don't like at all about this knife is that they went with just a lanyard hole instead of possibly a pin where you didn't have the scales. Oh, the G10 is aggressively grippy, but it's not so much that the pocket clip tears up pockets. It's not hard to get pants in and out of pocket. I'm in a pair of track shorts and it's not really a problem. I've had it in and out of a pair of jeans as well since it showed up. So either one of the pocket clips, this one is a little smoother to get in and out of pocket because it does not have anything under it. And the only thing I wish that this was a little bit lighter. I would have gotten this copper version if one, they weren't hard to find, and two, it wasn't so heavy. If they had skeletonized all this and made it super light as like just a shell over top, and then it was about the same weight as this, comparable, I probably went with this because this will patina over time, and I definitely am curious to see what this will look like in a couple years. So there you go. A knife so good, I bought one for myself. So guys, let's turn this around, do some final thoughts, and send you out about your day. Ooh, prickly.
There you go, guys. The Kansept Prickle. And like I said at the table, there's no better metric about how good a knife is unless, I mean, if the reviewer buys his own after reviewing it, should tell you something. So a little extra prickly. Guys, that's it on this one. If you like the videos, give them a thumbs up. If you don't like them, give them a thumbs down, but please try to tell me why. I can't change the content if you don't tell me what you don't like. If you want to support the channel, it's simple: like, share, subscribe, drop a comment, hit the bell icon. If you do hit the bell icon, make sure you've got notifications turned on your device or you will not get notified of the pretty much 3 things that go up a day between shorts and actual videos and live feeds, pretty much. I'm trying to get it figured out so I can have stuff go up 7 days a week, but it's a hard press right now. Other ways you can support the channel, like I mentioned in the intermission, I have got a bunch of affiliate links down below, including one for this knife that I'm putting in the description. If you want to support the channel financially, that's one of the best ways you can do it. Anything you purchase through those affiliate links doesn't cost you anything extra, but I get a little bit of it at checkout. If you want to support the channel by joining a membership, remember that the memberships are tier-based. Baseline tier and premium tier get access to monthly, as well as often as I can do it, giveaways and some other items. But pick the tier that suits you best. And remember, everyone saves $5 off my sharpening service, and everyone has access to my gilded server. And the final way is I have a merchandise store on Ember Shirt Co. Anything you purchase on Ember Shirt Co., I can save you 10% at checkout with the coupon code CrazySharp. All one word, capital C, capital S, CrazySharp, saves you 10% at checkout. Guys, that's it. I love you all. Keep it clean in the comment section if it's your birthday. Happy birthday, and I will see you in the next video.